everyone, my name is Mona. I'm a second-year political science major here at UC Irvine.
And my name is Simran. I'm a fourth-year criminology major and a political science minor. We're from the Legal Education and Resources Network at ASUCI, and we're going to be discussing immigration law basics. So first, we're going to go through some different acts of legislation just to show how immigration law has changed throughout the history of the US. So the first one is the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, which suspended Chinese immigration to the US for 10 years and deemed them ineligible for naturalization. In 1892, the Geary Act extended this for another 10 years and required Chinese residents to carry identification at all times. And if they did not, they would often get deported unless they had a white witness to identify them. The Immigration Act of 1924 excluded immigrants from Asia and set quotas for all other nationalities. Only 2% of the total number of people from each nationality in the US were provided visas. In 1954, there was Operation Wetback, which targeted Mexican immigrants, undocumented and citizens, and had them deported. A majority of these immigrants had entered legally in the first half of the 20th century because of relaxed immigration laws, but then were deported because of this operation. In 1996, there was IIRIRA, which was introduced during the Clinton administration, which added penalties for undocumented immigrants who committed crimes. This included misdemeanors or felonies, which led to deportation. Those who had been in the US for 6 to 12 months had to stay out of the US for 3 years before they could once again apply to come back. And those who had been in the US for over a year had to stay out for at least 10 years before they could try to apply to come back again.
And then after 9/11, there were also different changes to immigration law and policy. So there was a renewed emphasis on enforcing immigration law, and it was seen as an instrument for counterterrorism. So some examples of new programs were NSEERS, which is a system for registering certain non-citizens, and then SEVIS mainly affected international students coming to the US. There are also all sorts of bureaucratic changes that affected immigration law, and all of these changes disproportionately affected people from Muslim majority countries, as well as people from countries that the US had poor international relations with. So there were a lot of inequities with these new policies and renewed political focus on undocumented people as a result. And then there was DACA, which was an executive order in 2012, and that provides eligible undocumented people who are brought to the US as children deferment from deportation and eligibility for work permits. And DACA policy has changed over time as well. And then there was the travel ban in 2017, which was recently overturned by the Biden administration, but that restricted immigration from Chad, Iran, Libya, North Korea, Somalia, Syria, and Yemen.
So obviously over the past few years specifically, but for decades, there's been heavy politicization of immigration law. So obviously immigration has an economic impact on the country. In 2019, nearly half of all Fortune 500 companies were founded by immigrants or their children, and roughly 2/3 of crop farm workers are immigrants. And immigrants contribute immensely to the economy, both as a source of labor, especially in agricultural and in service industries, and especially as consumers.
And then there are also, of course, social impacts of immigration law. So immigrants obviously contribute to the cultural diversity of the US in a positive way, and immigration laws can shape and disrupt the lives of many, hence why it is so polarizing and often a really personal issue when it comes up in politics. And as we've seen with the examples we went over earlier, racial and ethnic tensions have also historically contributed to narratives on immigration.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any more questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to our commission at legalresources@asuci.uci.edu.
Thank you.